This Cora. We got Cora originally in the October auction of 2021. She was adopted out earlier last year, and then she ended up coming back to us. I think the owner pretty much said that she was too crazy and that she couldn't be handled and that she couldn't train her. So I've been working with her for probably the past month and a half now, and she already has made a lot of improvement. Like when she first came back, you couldn't touch her. So I just took my time with it, got her used to me being around her, got her used to kind of having her make that contact initially. So I just did a lot of that, and then I was able to get up and start haltering her and working with her. Last week we did start on some desensitizing exercises, so I'm going to pick up right where I left off with that, because that is the main thing that she needs. She's just afraid of the world, so she needs a lot of desensitizing. What do you think? Good girl. So she's already licking and chewing, which is a good sign. She's releasing dopamine into her brain right now. When I touched her though, she did get a little concerned. So when that happens, I might go back to the start of just trying to get her to kind of reach out and initiate contact. And I'm not in a rush here. I'll take my time. Good girl. That was a try right there. So she tried. I saw her ear flick over and I saw her look at me, and she kind of stopped moving her feet a little bit. So I let her have a break on that. The definition of having a soft feel with horsemanship is being able to detect the slightest try and releasing pressure. So when I'm putting my hand out here, this is actually putting a little bit of pressure on her. And when she makes an attempt to kind of do what I'm looking for her to do, I need to be able to release that pressure. So right there, she's not doing it. I'm going to keep that pressure on if she's not doing what I'm quite looking for yet. But as soon as she makes an attempt, like right there, I'll take my hand down and even take a step back. So she didn't really do much there, but she stopped moving her feet and she kind of reached her nose out just a little bit. And that is a try, and that's something that you need to release on. Good. So I thought she was ready. She was not. So I'll just go right back to this. That was a try. That was a try. Sometimes these tries are pretty subtle too. So if you're not paying attention, you might not notice it's happening. They say when you go into work with horses that you really have to be there with the horse and for the horse. There's people that they have horses and they never really get with their horses, and they don't really ever have their horse with them. And that's when you see like a lot of flighty horses, horses that spook easily. It's because you're not giving all of your attention to the horse and for the horse. And they're going to end up doing the same thing with that. If you're not paying attention to what they're doing, they're not going to really pay attention to what you're doing. It's a give and take relationship with horses a lot. If you're not there for the horse and the horse's needs, then you're not really going to get much done. Good girl. And sometimes there's good days, sometimes there's bad days. There's days where I bring her in here and she'll walk right up. She's already ready for me to put the halter on her. There's other days like this where she's just not too sure. She may be distracted by her friends. We just gave her a booster for rabies too, so she might not want anything to do with me because I was a part of that. She's like, nope, last time I was around you, you poked me, so I don't want to be around you. I didn't poke her, but the vet poked her, but I was there. Good girl. And on those bigger tries, I might even just keep myself there a little bit before I drop my hand down. Right there, she has made a couple really good attempts. So I might even have my hand over here by her neck to see if she's gonna be ready. And once she acknowledges that, I might even walk away for a little bit. I might do something over here completely unrelated, and she's already following me, so she wants to be here with me. She's just a little hesitant right now, but that's okay. You ready now? Right there, she actually reached out and touched me. I know you can't really see, but she made a pretty good attempt there. Good. What you think, Cora? I believe Cora is a teenager, but I might be wrong. She might be a little bit younger. I could check once I get a halter on her and let you know for sure. What you think? You ready? If you try, I'll leave you alone again. Yeah, there we go. Good girl. Good girl. So when I am haltering horses, I do like to try to teach them how to tip their nose in the halter. I'll put the nose band out in front of them and I'll put a little pressure on top of their head until they dip their head down, and I'll pull the halter up. So now that I got her, I'm not really gonna do anything too pressing quite yet. I'm just gonna kind of lead her around and make sure she's with me and paying attention. If I stop, she should stop. And if I back up, she should back up. I could start off by backing up and kind of teeter in on this lead rope a little bit until she backs. Good. Whoa. So when I'm asking horses to back up, I'm not going back towards their chest. I'm just going back and forth with this pressure until they back, and then releasing that pressure. So as soon as I start to feel her kind of leaning backwards, I'll release. You can kind of see them start to rock back when they're ready. And then you want to release as soon as they start that. That'll help get that really good. Eventually, I do want her to just be able to back up when I back up. I don't want to have to put much pressure on there. And she did pretty good there. I'm not really doing much, and she's backing right up. Good girl. Should be the same thing if I walk off over here, she should be paying attention. And if I decide I want to switch direction, she should be paying attention as well and stay out of my space. It's just getting your horses with you. Good girl. It's making sure that they're paying attention. So to start off with desensitizing, with her, she had a really big issue with just the rope moving around over here. So I will always start off with this until she quits moving her feet. And she already understands what she needs to do. We've done this a few times now. And I'll give her kind of a break with that. And I'll just go right back to doing that until I start reaching out and touching her with it. Just to kind of make sure that she's still okay with it. And then from there, I'll start working on just touching her front legs with it. And I want her to be okay with that. She had a pretty big reaction there. So I'll just keep doing that until she doesn't have a reaction, like right there. This will kind of start getting your horses ready for you to pick up their feet. Hobble training, just anything really to do with their front feet. They need to be used to pressure there so they don't get afraid. Say with this rope just being kind of wrapped around there, she needs to know that's okay. So if she gets caught in the fence, she's not going to freak out. Hopefully she just stands there and waits. Good girl. Just do it until you get some progress. You don't really want to overdo it. So if your goal, say, is just to get them to back up, and it's your first day of doing it, you might be really cranking on this thing, trying to get them back. As soon as they take that one step, quit, move on to something else. Maybe go back to it at the end of the training session and see if they retain that and see if they do better. But don't try to do too much in one day. Don't try to do too much in one session. Some sessions you might be done in 5 minutes, just depending on what you're working with that day. Or say you've been struggling with something with this horse for a while now. You've been working with it for 2 weeks and you haven't been able to get that one thing done, and it finally does it. That's a good spot to end for the day. Make that a really good experience. Like, yep, that's what I was looking for. You're good to go. Here's some hay. So don't try to overdo it. When she was here before, I did a lot of this stuff with her. So she already understood a lot of what I wanted her to do. She just needed a quick refresher. So when I first started off with this backing up, I was getting a lot of pressure on there because she needed it. But now, if I just grab this knot here and barely start putting pressure on there, she's backing up. So, I mean, she did retain some of it, but she did have some bad experiences after she left, and it didn't take much to just get her kind of back to where I had her. And I've actually started teaching her more now that she's been back as well. I already did the front legs, so I'm going to start working on going around the back legs now. And she might have a few big reactions to this. That's okay. I'm not going to make that a big deal. If she wants to have those big reactions, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm not going to get any heavier. I'm not going to get any lighter. I'm going to keep doing it the exact same way until she settles. A lot of people get mad at their horses when they're not doing the right things, when they should really be mad at themselves because they're not doing it right for the horse. If you've been able to get something done with your horse, and for some reason that day it's not doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. That's kind of how it goes with horse training. They know what they need to do. They know the pressures that you put on there. They know the buttons you've installed. Sometimes you might be having an off day though, and not applying that pressure in the same exact way that you have been. So it's really important to stay consistent with these guys.
Is there a difference doing it from the left side to the right side?
You want to do it on both sides just to get them used to it. A lot of times people just do everything on the left side with horses because that's the side that you usually mount from. So they don't even think about going over to the other side, but it's really important to do things on both sides, including mounting. So when I'm starting horses, before I even get on them to ride them, I'll make sure that they're okay with me doing fake-ons from both sides. So I'll put my foot up in the stirrup and grab the horn and just lean over the saddle and pet them. And when they're good with on the left side, I'll go over and do it on the right side as well. I had a Mustang I was working with back in California, and he was doing great with everything. I did my fake-ons on the left side. He moved around a little bit, and he finally settled. I got off, I did it again on the left side, and he just stood there perfect. And I went over to do the fake-on the right side, and nobody had done it with him before. So he took off around that round pen bucking just after I put my foot in the right stirrup. He just took off bucking. It took me a couple times of doing that on that side to get him used to it, and he finally quit. And he ended up being one of the best horses I've ever had. So that's good for her right now. I'm gonna give her a little bit of a break just to kind of think about that. And then we're gonna move on to some other desensitizing things. I do have my flag here today, good girl. I brought my rope. I can get her used to just that rope touching her. I'm not gonna rope her. I'm not gonna have the rope around her neck at all, but I will use that rope to kind of just drape over her butt. I might use the rope around her legs and have a big loop and just kind of come up and touch her on the inside of the legs right there. As you see, she needs some desensitizing there. We'll start off with just my hand touching her down there. And once she stops reacting, then I'll quit. Good girl. Good. So she did react a little bit there, but she didn't have to move her feet. Still give her a reward there. I'll go down and do it again. That was good. She didn't even tense up that time. That's good. And usually when you can get something done on one side, when you go to do it on the other side, it's a lot better. Good. So it's really important to get them used to all of these different types of pressures and things touching them in different spots on their body, because I mean, you might be riding down the trail one day and riding through a bush, and that bush touches her in a spot you've never touched her before. She's gonna freak out. She might take off bucking. She might freeze. She might rear up. You don't know. So you need to prepare your horse for all these things. So I'm just gonna start off with that flag just moving around. I might reach up and touch her with it on the shoulder, and then just let it fall back down. And I'll do it again. And the whole point of this is to do it until they're not reactive. The first time I had her in here with the flag, I actually touched her in between her front legs and she jumped forward and bucked. So she had never had that happen before. It's the same thing I just did with the rope too. You want to do it around their legs to kind of get them used to something touching their legs. Because a lot of times when you're going to pick up a horse's feet and they don't want you to pick them up, it is a fear issue. They're afraid of things touching their legs. So I'm just going to keep doing this, just like everything else, until she stops reacting. Good girl. Now reward her. And I'm in the position too, where if she wants to come forward, I can get my arm up to block her, and I can get out of the way. Because the last thing that you need is to reach out here with the flag and have a horse jump on top of you. And I don't feel like being on light duty, so I got to be careful. So now that she's good with it on that leg there, I might reach around here to her barrel and just work on petting her on that barrel with it. And come back to the leg, going between the legs where she was really reactive that one time. I'm going to hold it there as best as I can until she kind of stops. I'll go back to where she's comfortable on her shoulder there. Good girl. I'll drop it down. Just letting her know that this is not going to hurt her. Good girl. Come back to the shoulder. Go to the chest. Back in between the legs there. I'm just going to rub her with it. Right there, she did really good. She's licking and chewing. She understands what I'm asking her to do, and she's getting a little dopamine release there. Yeah, Dr. Nancy was out here the first time I touched her on the flag right here. She jumped forward. Yeah, it was pretty intense. That was the day that we were going to give her shots.
She was like, we're going to put her in the stock.
Yep, she sure did. Now I'm touching her on the butt with it. And I'm going to touch her in the flank. And she's being a little reactive. She's not moving her feet, but she was tensing up. She stopped, I dropped it down, and go again. She stopped. So you could kind of see the flag bouncing around. And now she's doing good with it. So when they tense up, I don't know if you saw that, but that flag was bouncing a little bit. But now she's getting pretty good with it. And like I did on the front leg, I'll do on the back leg. I'll just work on rubbing it down the inside of her back leg and the outside of her back leg, maybe down the back of it, just to get her used to it. She did pretty good on that side. I'll come to this side. I'll start off the same way. Just be moving the flag down here. She didn't react, so I'll give her a reward. And I'll do it again. Come up and I'll touch her on the shoulder with it. And on the other side there, she was pretty reactive when I was in between her front legs. She's doing pretty good with it on this side. You can kind of see her tensing up a little bit when I'm going around. So if you notice too, she is a little bit skinny. We believe that she is still a little wormy. She has had now 2 doses of dewormer to try to help clear that up. But just because she's skinny doesn't mean we can't go ahead and start groundwork with her. And either way, I am too big to ride this horse, so the more I could do with the ground to help prepare her for an adopter, somebody that can come out and ride her, the better. So I might do groundwork with her for a few months, or a month to a few months before someone comes out here that's interested in her. But this will help prepare her to be in a good home. That way she can continue with training and eventually one day be a really good riding horse. But all of it starts here on the ground. She is doing really good with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the flag up. I'll give her a little bit of a break before we move on to the next thing. So the flag is probably the best training tool I have. It's just an extension of my arm. It helps me get into places where I probably wouldn't want to stick my arm to begin with. This is another good tool I have. It's the 40-foot ranch rope. It's extra soft. I think it's about, let's see, I've had this thing so long, can't even read it anymore. But I think it's 3/8 in diameter. I learned how to rope and use a rope properly when I was in college. And it's probably one of the best things I ever learned. The main thing is if you're working with the horse with the rope, make sure you know how to use it. I'm not going to use this to rope her neck or anything, but I could use it to kind of touch her, just something else to desensitize with. That's how I view it. I used to rope cows with it, but I don't do much of that anymore. So this rope has definitely been well broken in. But a good thing to know too when you're first starting out is make sure that your coils are organized. Otherwise, if this rope does end up getting tight, you can kind of turn it into a wreck pretty quick. I'm not going to try to do too much to really scare her with it, but I'm going to get my loop built up there, and with the same hand that I have my coils in, I'm also going to hold my lead rope. But again, I'm going to make sure that I have this organized in a way where if this rope decides to tighten up, this lead rope won't tighten up too. So I could hold that right on the inside with my thumb, so I have control, and if something happens, I could let go of this rope to avoid a wreck. So I'm just going to start off by touching her with it, same as the flag, except this time I'm up a little more close and personal. I'm still in a position where I can get out of the way if I need to. Just like the lead rope too, I'll just start by kind of swinging it out over here until she stops reacting. And I do have my arm up to block. If she's trying to block her left side, I can get my arm up and kind of get her nose out of the way. So I'll just put it right there and just let her wear it. And I do want her to be able to move with that up there. She just needs to know that this is not going to hurt her. And that's all this is for. That way if she gets tangled up in something, she can learn that it's okay, and all she has to do is just relax. And I do want her to move because they might freeze up out of fear. Even though they're on the inside, they're freaking out about it. And once she moves off softly, just like that, I can go ahead and take this rope off. It might take me a minute to get there. Right there, she's being reactive again. It's fine. Right there, she's doing pretty good. I can pull on that a little bit. She's not freaking out anymore. So right there is a good spot to just flip that rope off of there.
What were you doing?
What's that?
What were you doing with your left hand?
I was keeping her going. So When you're doing that and they want to freeze up, you can get your hand out here to kind of block and encourage that forward movement. So when she starts moving forward, I stop moving my hand and I relax a little bit. Good girl. So same thing that you do on the left, you want to do on the right side. Right there, she is trying to block her right side for me, so I'll keep my arm out here to block her until she wants to stop. Then I'll just pet her. I could use the rope to pet her. Go ahead and swing that up over her butt. Same thing, I'm gonna keep my arm out here to block. And I want her to keep moving forward. I just want her to get used to wearing that, that's it. Right there, she tried to change eyes. I don't want her to change eyes, so I'll keep my hand out here. That was a lot better. Go ahead and just flip that off. I'll give her a minute to kind of take a breather and relax a little bit. Now she's licking and chewing. I might even have her follow that rope around a little bit. Just get used to it dragging on the ground. Get over on this side, do the same thing. She's not too sure about it. Right there, she kind of settled a little bit. So I'll reward her. And I'll go ahead and coil my rope up. So another thing I could do here with this rope, since I'm already here with it, so I'll use it to kind of get around her legs. So the same thing that I did with the rope earlier, the lead rope and the flag. I just want to get her to get used to it touching her. That's it. And then when she's ready, I'll get her to step into it. Once she's stepped into it, I'll get her used to it touching her on the inside of the leg there and up in her armpit. When she's good with that, I'll drop it down. Like everything else, I want her to move her feet with that there. Good girl. As soon as she makes that step, I'll drop it down. Get this a little more organized. I might do that a couple more times just to get her used to it. Get her to step. You can do it. Good girl. And then when she's good with it, I'll just let her walk out of there. Good. I'll coil it back up. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. I mean, all of this is kind of just getting her desensitized to things touching her legs. So in theory, after I do all this, it should be easier to reach down there and pick up her feet. In theory. The same thing here on this side. Just get her used to it touching her leg. And then when she's ready, I'll have her step into it. When she steps into it, start bringing it up her leg, wiggle it around a little bit, do weird things. Go ahead and tighten that loop down a little bit. Good girl. She is blocking me on that right side. So get back over here. Good. Right there. Get her to step out of it. There. Might be reactive to that, that's fine. I'm just gonna let her wear it. I'm not gonna try to pull on it too much. And when she's okay with it, I can kind of relax down a little bit. Right there, I'm just gonna move it around her leg. Just try to swing it up over her hock. And she might be pretty reactive to that for a little bit, that's fine. Just like the front leg, she'll get used to it. I'm not pulling on it. I'm just kind of letting her run into that pressure on that. Just want her to get used to it. Right there. Good girl. That time she was a lot less reactive. She still needs to move a little bit because she's not really too sure about it, but she's not trying to kick it anymore. If I wanted to, I could even work on picking up that back foot with it. And come right back to bring it up her leg, just touching her with it. Good girl. Like I said, I'm not pulling on this rope. It's not tight around her leg. Try to swing it up to her hock again if I can. There we go. I'm just gonna let her wear it. Good. Good girl. And do the same thing on the other side now. Rope did get a little tangled there. I'll just try to organize that back again. I'll go right back to it. She did finally settle there, for a minute at least. So since she has been pretty fearful with that and reactive, I might just work on getting her foot picked up with it for right now. And then once she does that without really having a big reaction, I'll start working up her leg. Good girl. There we go. Now I'm up around her cannon bone with it. Just kind of get used to it touching her there. I'll swing it up over her hock. Good girl. And I'll try to not put too much pressure on her with it. At least pulling on it wise. I'll still move it around a little bit. Just get her used to that. Go back up over her hock if I can. There we go. Get her to take a step. Good girl. Right there, she was a lot less reactive with that. So I'll go ahead and call that good for the rope today. Next time I use the rope with her desensitizing, I'll go ahead and go through all those same things I just did, and I might add on just having that around her midsection. So that would be kind of imitating like the cinch on her, and I could even do that with the lead rope. So I might just do exactly what I did today with that rope, just to get her used to it. And I might go ahead and use the lead rope to get her used to that cinch pressure. So the last thing I want to do today with desensitizing with her is pull the tarp out. And we did work on the tarp last week. Good girl. Let's go ahead and place this over here. And the main thing I want to do with this good. Just work on sending her around it. I'm gonna grab my flag. Good girl. I'm just gonna work on sending her around it just like that. I do want to do it on the other side too. If she goes in front of it, that's fine. I'll keep her going around. Until she can go around the outside of it just like that. I'll give her a quick little break with that. So horses, with their vision, they can only see a few colors. I believe those colors that they can prominently see are blue and yellow. So to her, that's just a giant blue hole and she has no idea what it is. And it might eat her, so. Go ahead and, so when you're doing this tarp, you want to start off with it pretty far away from the fence. And you want to slowly get it closer to the fence. You just want to keep getting them to kind of go past it. And eventually, the goal would be to have it on the fence so that there is no gap. They have to actually walk over the tarp. And we did work on this last week. I got her to the point where I could lead her over the tarp. It did take her a minute. So it might take her a while again today. I will take that. I'll give her a little bit of a break with it. But I do want her to go over it nicer. So I'll ask her to do it again. That was a little bit nicer. Still not quite what I'm looking for. So I'll ask her to go again. If she does start to get her shoulder in on me, I could use that flag closer to her shoulder to keep it out there. Good. If she makes an attempt to get up to that, I'll take that pressure off. If she does want to fly out past it like that with her butt towards me, I will keep working her around. I might get a little heavier with the flag. And there she went over at that time, so I will give her a little bit of a break on it. She may not do it the way I exactly want her to do it today, But having her go back over it after those couple times of just blowing past me in the tarp, having her go over it that time is a step in the right direction. And she is more worried about it on that side than the other side. So I'll have her do it this way. Keep her going around. I want her to at least get over it on this side. Right there. She at least went up to it, so I'll give her a little bit of a break. I want her to keep her shoulder out there though. And I'll give her a big break on that one. Just gonna put this up over her withers like that. So she was the last horse I worked last week, and we had the tarp opened up a little bit more. Instead of it being folded up skinny like that, it was actually folded up like this. This will be the last thing I do with Cora today. I just want her to go over it nicely without her thinking that it's gonna eat her, she's gonna fall into it. So I'll start off on the side that she is a little bit better on, now that it is opened up a little bit bigger. I don't want her to blow past that like that. So I did try to save it by just by pushing her shoulder back over. So now that she's lined up with it, I'll give her a break. Good girl. She was going down to inspect it with her nose there and the lead rope touched it. She got a little worried. Good girl. So every time that she makes an attempt, just like everything else, I'm going to go ahead and give her a little bit of a break. And then when she's ready, I'll ask her again. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Good girl. There you go. So now she actually stepped on it and she didn't have to blow past it. She does have her front foot up there. So I'm going to give her a longer break with that. And I'll ask her to take another step here in a couple seconds. Even if she reaches her nose down to inspect it, that is a try. So I'll make sure I reward that as well. Good. Good. Good girl. There you go. Now she has both of her front feet up there. So I'll give her a little bit more of a break again before asking her to walk off across it. Good girl. Good. Good. Good girl. Now she didn't have to blow past it as fast as she could there. She did trot over it, but either way that is progress for right now, at least for me sending her around it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it the other way, and then I'm gonna put the flag up and I'm just gonna lead her across. Good girl. Good girl. Good. So if she does try to turn her butt into me and step past it, I will get a little bit bigger with the flag. I said she needs to respect the flag, but I don't want her to be afraid of it. So after she does make a big move like that, and I have to get bigger with the flag, I'll even pet her with it a little bit. I'll ask her to step up again. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Good job. So she took a step towards it. I'll give her a bigger break. There you go, good girl. There you go. Good job. She actually stepped up and let it touch her foot. Now she's licking and chewing. So I'll give her even a bigger break with that. She's finally realizing that this is not going to kill her. Now I'll ask her again. Give her a break since she took that big step up. She wants to step backwards, I might get more pressure. Good job. Good girl. I'll ask her again here. Good job. girl. Now she did step past it, but that's fine. She had both of her front feet up there, so I'll give her a little bit of a break. And I'll go ahead and lose the flag for right now and see if I can just get her to lead across. Now, it might startle her too when I go ahead and step on this. She wanted to go around it. I'll get her over here. I'll get her to step across this way. And that was pretty good on that side. I'll give her a break. And let's try this side again. See if we can get her to go across it this side. Good girl. She did that really well. So I'm going to go ahead and call that good for Cora today. I'm pretty happy with that. We do have a lot more work to do on desensitizing, but for that just being her second time me working on that stuff with her, she did really well. Just good thing to build on. You can never desensitize your horse too much. All right, you ready to go? All right, let's go.